Hey everyone,
Sorry.
Hey everyone!
Welcome back to our channel. I'm Danielle.
I'm Maggie.
And today we are reacting to 1980s things that are not socially acceptable today. I can already think of some things, but I'm curious as to know a lot of them.
I'm excited to see what this shows.
I know.
Because I feel like I know it's gonna be unreal.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I just need to watch it and then just talk about it.
I know.
But real quick, I thought about, sorry about my bubble. I thought about doing this one because we want you to go to Danielle's personal channel too, her own channel, yes. Because this weekend, or was it? I don't know. Yeah, this weekend. I can't even think of what day it is. We went to a museum that has a Gen X exhibit.
Yes.
I had tears in my eyes. I thought I was going to cry. I didn't cry, but I was definitely like emotional.
Yeah.
And so she has a video on that. So we'll put that link below.
It was so fun.
That you can watch our video and then you can click over to Danielle's page and watch that video. We had so much fun.
It was so fun. I loved it so much.
I loved it because it was very nostalgic for me. It was a little bit 70s, obviously, because it's Gen X, lots of 80s, and then, you know, like just a taste of inkling. 90s. Yeah. But yeah, so definitely watch.
Yes, please.
When you're done watching this, give it a like and then go to Danielle's channel. And we'll remind you at the end of this video, but let's get into it.
Yes, all right.
Okay.
Let's see. So curious.
Okay.
40 years ago, things were very different. MTV was just catching on and Atari was still very popular. We didn't have all the constant news in our face, but our social media was hanging out with friends and family. Some of the things we used to do would probably get you arrested now. Safety standards in cars were pretty well absent. The regulations were more like mild suggestions rather than rules or laws.
Like kids sitting in
Nobody wore seatbelts,
back.
and many people just wondered why they were even there. As a kid, you could sit in the middle of the bench seat up front and control the radio. If you wanted to see over the tall dash, then you could just simply stand up.
Oh my gosh.
Dad may have even placed you in his lap
And
so you could help him steer the
lap
car.
belts.
Yeah.
It was also common to see kids just packed in the back of a station wagon or maybe in the bed of a pickup truck. Car seats were available for purchase, but rarely would you ever see one in a car.
That's crazy.
If your car was packed with kids, then it was usually easier just to leave them in the car and then go into the grocery store and shop. Most people just left the windows rolled down and the kids would be just fine.
That's why they ended up on the milk cartons.
Kids were very active, and it wasn't uncommon just to tell your parents you were going outside to play, and then you would disappear for most of the day, if not all of it. It was always easy to tell where all the neighborhood kids were just by glancing at someone's yard and seeing the collection of bicycles. If that wasn't seen, then most of the kids would knock on their friend's door to see if they were home and if they wanted to come out and play. If you went around riding bikes, then you certainly didn't wear a helmet. Most people couldn't even see these in stores to buy, and if you could, they wouldn't have even wanted them. Same thing with elbow pads and knee pads.
You never wore any
Most
of that,
kids
though.
just thought it was cool to show off your latest injury or skinned knee. If you happen to be too far from home too late, then no problem.
I do have scars
Find one
from
of the
my
payphones
bikes
that
on
were
my
all
ankles.
over the place, and if you didn't have change, then that wasn't a problem either. Your parents knew when they got the collect call.
You've told me about that.
Call from. I'm at the community center. Do you accept charges?
No, I don't.
Mom and Dad would just come and pick you up and load up the bikes if you had them. Otherwise, your parents just expected you to be home by the time the street lights came on. Smoking was still very big, and parents smoked in the home and in the car with kids still in it. Secondhand
That's
smoke
such an
was just
80s
something that
picture,
everyone
just
had
a-
to live with,
yes.
and most people
Grandma
weren't worried
smoking.
about exposing it to kids. It wasn't uncommon to see people just smoking away in restaurants, and most
Kinda
of them
goes along
probably
with-
didn't even have smoking
Yes,
sections.
Yeah.
Things were so different back then that there were cigarette machines in front of some stores and restaurants.
Cigarette machines?
No ID
Yep.
check or anything, just insert the quarters and pull the knob. It was also a time when kids would run to the convenience store and pick up some essentials. Sometimes those essentials were cigarettes, and all we needed was a
That's
no.
like,
my
that was what
gosh.
that guy was talking about.
Yeah, what the heck?
Considering how most people were about smoking, it's not surprising that alcohol would be much different. Alcohol wasn't something that kids enjoyed, but I'm sure many tasted it just to see what it was like when parents offered it. Being a latchkey kid was perfectly fine. Parents were busy working and doing other things, so it was quite common to see kids at home by themselves or
Latchkey.
watching younger siblings.
Yeah, I don't think
until
it was.
they got
I don't
home.
remember it being called a latchkey,
Parents
but
just
like
thought if kids
everybody
were old
just
enough to
walked
dial the
home and
important
stayed home by
numbers
themselves
or
for the
911,
afternoon.
they were responsible enough to be at home alone. Physical punishment was also something that was viewed very differently. Paddling or swats from parents, family, or teachers was considered completely reasonable if the kids misbehaved or were disrespectful.
Absolutely
Mm-mm.
not.
Punishment
Nope.
was usually swift and painful.
no.
Peanut allergies certainly were around back then, but kids still brought peanut butter sandwiches and peanut products to school. Peanut and other allergy bans weren't a thing.
Can some
EpiPens
can
didn't
some
hit the
schools
market
not bring
until
peanut butter sandwiches now?
1987, so if you had an allergy, you just had to hope you didn't die.
Uh,
If you were a teenager in the 1980s,
That's-
then
middle
you didn't
outfit
have
is
Instagram
so
or
cute.
Snapchat. Your social media was hanging out at the mall with your friends. You could do a little shopping, eating, and a whole lot of hanging out.
Mine was a
Parents would
skating
allow
rink.
their kids to roam the
Oh,
mall
yeah.
by
More
themselves
so.
for hours. Kids may still go to the mall today, but not quite as
World.
much. If they hang out there all day now, they might accuse you of loitering.
What in the world?
Chickenpox parties were something that many people had long before there was a vaccine. Most people felt it was best just to get chickenpox out of the way so you wouldn't have to worry about it later. If one kid started showing signs, then it was time to gather every other kid who hadn't gotten it for a good old-fashioned party.
I had them twice.
Oh, that sounds
The
fun.
PG-13 rating didn't exist until July 1st, 1984, and prior to that, they got away with a lot more. People realized that there was a huge gap between PG and R. If you take a
Yeah, I
look
would
back
say
at the
so.
movie Airplane, which was PG, you'll understand how wide this gap was. The
That
movie
was
was filled with a
PG?
lot of adult humor in it,
not?
and it even
It's
showed some
raunchy.
nudity.
Yeah.
It's raunchy.
August 10th, 1984, the action film Red Dawn starring Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen became the first ever PG-13
That's what I'm
movie
talking about with when I said C.
released in
Thomas
theaters.
Howell was so known from The
Yeah.
Outsiders. He didn't
Over
even
the last
mention his
40
name.
years, there have been many changes, not just in technology, but
That's
in
what they love
regulations on what we can and
okay.
cannot do. Most of the younger generations do not realize how many changes have taken place during the 80s and have
The
continued
prices.
to
I don't
do
know
so.
McDonald's prices
I hope you
nowadays,
enjoyed
but
this little
I
walk
can
down
imagine it's
memory
more than
lane.
20 cents.
Thank you
Right.
so much for watching.
Why don't you come up here, Pumpkin? What are you doing, Larry? Well, Vince, I've asked my pumpkin to sit on my lap to
These
prove a
commercials
point.
were
What is that,
nonstop
your
at one
Really?
point.
Even
Mhm.
if we fasten our safety belts, even if you hold on tight,
When
even if you
seatbelts
were
kind of
watching
became
the road,
Probably a lot more
crash,
law
your pumpkin
enforced.
will be
Yeah.
nothing but a squash. You could learn a lot from a dummy. Use child safety seats. We love that little pumpkin piece.
Okay, Joey, it's a wrap. Hi, I'm Joey Lawrence at Give Me a Break. After I'm done here, I get a ride home. But the thing is, I will only get into a car with someone who
Will
wears a
Byers
seatbelt.
haircut.
Kids like me usually do as the
Like he
driver
doesn't even have hair
says.
these
They don't
days.
buckle. They
No?
don't buckle.
Mm-mm.
Sounds pretty dumb, huh? But it happens, just like accidents. Give a kid a break. Buckle up. Your life and theirs is in your hands.
These commercials. They don't, like, there's no such thing as like a cigarette commercial anymore, is there?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Ew.
Girl, where you going with that dragon breath?
Ew.
Gross.
When you walk in a room, no, they can't stand
Nobody actually walked around just like that, right?
No.
Just puffing.
I
it
mean,
and-
but the cloud of smoke was always there.
yeah, that's gross.
Yeah.
You're a drag, yes you are. A message for you and me from the American Cancer Society.
Don't be a dragon, lady.
Is that
Okay.
it? Oh wow.
Yeah, that was
okay.
it.
So,
Okay.
the first commercial, like with the dummy and the pumpkin,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like you could learn a lot from a dummy.
Mhm.
It's one of those things that shouldn't be funny, but is. Like, because
Yeah.
obviously, like, it's a commercial about, like,
Turn your garden.
like, your safety and wearing a
Mhm.
seatbelt. Like, that it's, like, serious.
Sure.
But, like, the way it just, like, that, like, commercial and how they said it, I'm like...
Yeah, okay.
You're making something serious so funny.
Right. But I think it was like an attention grabber.
Yeah.
And were you gonna say something?
Yeah, go ahead, though.
If you were around back then, you know it was like every other commercial was like
That's crazy.
the crash test dummies.
Well, okay, a few things. Now, I feel like every commercial now is that, like, guy when it's, like, vaping brings nickel and lead into your lungs. That's nickel in your lungs.
Yes.
That's, like, every commercial now.
Yes, that's interesting.
Every single ad I see on YouTube is that guy.
Yeah.
And then the second commercial, who's that little boy?
Joey Lawrence.
He was on an episode of Johnny Carson I watched, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought that I recognized him from that.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know, I love Johnny Carson so much. So much.
She found it a few months back, right? Wasn't
Yeah.
it? And just was like,
Several
oh my
months back.
gosh.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
love him.
please. Johnny Carson was like the it late night guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like a lot of that stuff is like, oh my gosh, like somebody would probably go to like prison these days if like they had like a car full of kids like that.
And just leaving them in there while
yeah.
shopping and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I watch like different YouTube videos, like when people like are breaking the windows, getting a kid out of the car.
Exactly.
And, you know, the parent gets, you know.
Yeah, like
How-
child neglect or something.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like.
Yeah. Well, and just like, I don't remember, like, okay, if you're a Gen Xer, tell me, I could be wrong. I just don't remember anything about like it being called latchkey. You just like walked 50 miles home and then you were just there either by yourself or with your siblings
Yeah.
until who knows what time.
And that's what I was gonna touch on as well. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily like a bad thing if your kid's at home. I mean,
No.
at a certain to a certain age.
Yeah, but I don't think there was an age limit then.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
they're like an age limit, at least nowadays. Like, I definitely think like, I don't know, probably. I don't know. It's hard to say.
I think it depends on the maturity of your kid for one.
And if they have siblings, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, maybe where you live.
Oh,
Because
sure.
I think, I was gonna say, like, I think it's not a bad thing if your kid's home alone while you're at work for a few hours or whatever. But I don't think it's necessarily so safe, especially nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think the world has been crazy for a while, but like
Mhm.
as time goes on, like the world keeps getting worse
Yeah.
and more scarier. So
Yeah.
I just don't think it's safe for like children to just be home alone.
Like, I mean, it was scary then, but yeah, it's definitely scarier now.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think 11, 12 is a really good age. But you
And
know,
above to be able to stay home.
yeah.
Yeah,
and-
I was gonna say 12 because I think like once you're a teenager,
Yeah.
again, it depends on the maturity, but
I was 8 at the start, and so yeah, like,
you know,
yeah,
absolutely not. That's way
and-
too young.
yeah.
I think.
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, so it just, like, I remember when I was still in college, and then But I always tried to make my schedule around you.
Yeah.
And then even like, you know, maybe there were days with clinicals and stuff once you were homeschooled that it just, we worked it out, but you were a little bit older then.
I was, yeah.
So, so I don't know. How old were you? If you're a Gen Xer, how old were you? Were you like single digits like me when you were like taking care of yourself and your siblings?
She's so, when she talks in bouncy, so sorry if the camera's shaking.
Sorry.
I just see the camera going like that. Okay, sorry. Oh yeah, and then the cigarette commercial with the girl at the end. Like, that was so weird.
That was silly.
How she's just smoking and like dancing all around.
That
and
was
like nobody actually did that, right?
No.
So weird.
Well, speaking of the cigarettes, one of the things that we were talking about with those curators at the museum and stuff is just like Danielle was so shocked to find out that like all of the places you could smoke in like I'm just gonna say the 80s, like my childhood. Hospitals, airplanes, restaurants. Do you want the smoking section or the non-smoking section? Like it made a difference.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
I remember Uncle Jay saying something about like being able to smoke on planes and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is just disgusting because you're confined in a tube altogether. I do not want to smell someone's smoke while I'm traveling.
Yeah. So
like that's so nasty.
Well, you think so for flying you're in a tube, in a restaurant you're in a room.
Yeah, and eating.
And even in a hospital.
I don't want to eat the smoke. I don't want to smell it.
Sick.
I don't want to eat it.
Yeah. But definitely a lot has changed. The lap belt. It was just a lap belt. There weren't even like shoulder straps. You know? And then they were talking about like people didn't even really bother with the car seats and everything. Like, I don't know. Just for me, like some of that stuff, I don't remember like not worrying about car seats or stuff like that. But
wait for yourself.
Yeah, well, just in, my younger years, I don't remember people just being like, just put the baby, whatever. I know there were people, but like, I just can't fathom. I can't.
I know. Like, I was like in a car seat up until I was like 10 or 12 because I only ever
You
weighed
weren't
like
10 or she wasn't 10 or
I was kidding.
Okay.
No, because I was older. I wasn't like 6 when I got out of it because I was always like
so
underweight.
Tiny.
Yeah.
I think you were probably 8 or 9 when you still did the booster seat.
That booster, I couldn't remember that word.
Yeah, because she was so tiny.
I probably still technically would have to sit in one.
Well, like in the front seat, it usually doesn't acknowledge that you're sitting there. It'll say stuff about the airbag.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what are some things that like you would even put on this list that if you were around in the 80s, like what are things that like were totally fine then that like today like people would frown upon, or you could be like arrested for, or just any of that? Because I feel like
I know, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff is it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think you would get arrested for like smoking in a restaurant. I think you just get kicked out.
You'd probably get a fine.
Really?
You could. I bet you could. I don't know. Do you agree?
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff though. But I'm sure
to think of other things.
I'm sure that there still have to be so many kids that have to, make their way home, and
sure,
whoever is in charge, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever they live with, uncle, somebody's not home.
Yeah, I would like poop if I saw like a 7-year-old walking home though. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, you don't really see a lot of little kids walking
like
around like you do, or that you did then.
Yeah,
so,
that would be crazy.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Like that's what I've always known. Like I've never just seen children walking home.
Right.
It's always older kids.
Well, and like even when you were in public school, I picked you up.
Exactly.
But then, you were only in public school for a few years, and then you were homeschooled. So,
it's so crazy.
But yeah, so you always had mom there, except for, if I were, was at the hospital for a few hours.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Okay, so yeah, tell us
crazy.
some of your crazy that you think would still be okay, or that you're like, gosh, like how did we survive? Like something. But don't forget to check out Danielle's page.
Yes,
we're gonna link that below. And go check it out and see all of the things. It was a small to medium exhibit, but it was
so fun.
Amazing. It was so much fun.
I got to see so many things in person for the first time that my mama has told me about her having growing up. I will tell you, I got to do my first arcade game ever. So many fun things, like the phone.
Rotary phone.
Yeah. I was trying to figure that out. I was trying to figure out how to do a stereo. So it's such a fun video, and I love it so much, and I worked so hard on it and was up until like 3:30 in the morning editing it. So yeah. I love the video so much. It's like probably one of my favorite videos ever.
Yeah,
I've done.
good.
Yeah,
it was a fun experience.
Loved it so much.
Okay,
Yes!
all right. Well, that's it. So go ahead and like this video. Comment all of your 80s versus now comments. Go check out Danielle's video. Subscribe, like, comment, do all the things, share the video, and then share Danielle's video, and so that's it, and we will see you next time.
And let me know if you came, or if you went to my video in the comments here.
Yeah.
Let me know if you went to my video. All right.
Okay.
Tell us all the things in the comments, and we will see and talk to you in the next video.
Bye.